I feel like these days the world is a really strange place. Time goes so quickly. My child the other day was saying, after COVID, now my child's only like 11, right? She hasn't been in the world very long. But she was saying the other day, since COVID, time goes so fast. Since, like, after COVID, time just goes tick, 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 like really, really fast. And she's right. She said before COVID, time would, she says that now there's no feeling of nostalgia about stuff because you're just whipping through it all. It's so weird how that works. She's right. And then all the stuff that's going on that we can't control. How many of us are watching what's going on in Palestine? With no way of affecting it. No, well, maybe there is a way of affecting it, but we have no idea how. Unless it was supernatural. How do you stop a very powerful nation from annihilating another one? How do you do that? I feel a lot of us feel very helpless about it, of course. And that helplessness. How do you stay happy these days? How do you stay happy? I used to be such a happy kid and such a happy young adult. I had so much positivity and I had such hope. But I feel like these days, like there's a vacuum of hope. There's no hope. Like we're on a downward spiral in this. Such great mechanism, enormous mechanism of this downward spiral. Anything one individual person could do wouldn't be able to turn the tide. Even if you worked your hardest your whole life. I'm always, throughout my days, I'm looking for answers. I have an internal setting in here. I'm constantly trying to look out for answers, for ways that we could turn things around. For me in particular, it's the kids thing, the missing kids thing. Why is it so okay that so many... Nobody talks about it. It's not on the news or anything. It's like a big elephant in the room that nobody really wants to talk about. And the movies don't talk about it. Hollywood doesn't touch it. The media doesn't touch it. The sheer numbers of missing children. Where are they going? The numbers are so enormous. The numbers are industrial. It's almost industrial. The kids go missing and they don't come back and there's no remains. So where are they going? Are we like a farm? A human farm? A baby farm? A child farm? For what? Where? What's going on? And no one's talking about it. This is a really weird place. We have our cities, we live amongst each other, we have jobs and everything. But the single most fearful thing amongst us, the nightmare of losing a child or losing a child and never knowing what happened to them. Or children that are at the bottom end of society, like maybe orphans, or kids that are in foster care, or kids that are being shuttled to and fro, whatever. Like those are the guys that, those are the little guys that fall between the cracks. How is it that our society continues to go on, and people make businesses, and people become successful, and they get married and have more babies, and in the background this dark wheel is turning? There's an enormous dark wheel that just keeps turning, and babies and children go into it and they don't come out. I was thinking about the organ harvesting thing. Initially I thought, actually, how is it that you could harvest organs from babies or toddlers or young children when they're so small or they're so young and their organs aren't fully developed yet? Well, upon closer examination, apparently you can. You can. Children can have their organs donated or harvested for other kids of about the same age. And I think even for young organs going to adult bodies, it sounds like heart valves, liver, kidney, and eyeballs are a thing that can be transferred to adults. So yeah, organ harvesting is a thing. I wish it wasn't. My whole life, this is what I'm singularly searching for. Because once you know what it is, then you can maybe start to do something about it. But then again, I know what's happening in Palestine. Can I do anything about it? I was just thinking now, there was a book a while ago, The Power of Eight, that some woman had written, and it was like the power of collective thought. Like when you link up, you basically hold hands with a bunch of 8 or more people. The power of positive thought. You think a thought, we all think the same thing, and things just rocket forward, apparently. They manifest much more quickly. Maybe this is the key. Maybe we need... It's not about foreign policy. Foreign policy is not going to do anything for us. There's been so much foreign policy and we've still got wars, right? Maybe it's got to be the other way. However, there's always hope, though. And I'm going to tell you why. All of this that's happening to us, all of this, Palestine, entities that want to control the flow of culture or ideas in history and until now across the world, a common method has been to remove children from their parents. See Australia with the Aborigines, see see Ireland, see the American Native Indians, where the church took the children from their mums and dads to put them either in foster homes or into places where they were taught in a different way, basically, in a way the church approved of. But it's not even that, governments do it too. And it's happening now. In Palestine, it's been happening for a while. Israeli forces remove children for no apparent reason. And they don't give reasons. They just remove children from their parents, and the children are in so-called detainment. What's the purpose of this? You have to think of it this way, right? Anytime you're taking on a child, that's a huge responsibility. Maybe they don't care about the child's mental well-being, but they still have to feed. They still have to feed that person and put them up somewhere where they can sleep somewhere, right? It's all resources, it's money that's spent. So from a certain vantage point, from their vantage point and probably from elsewhere, it's a necessary expenditure. It's a necessary expenditure to separate these children from their parents. Because you're going, basically, when you separate, I think they don't want to go as far as killing off, just pot-shotting the whole younger generation to stop the line of thinking, to stop that culture from going on to the next generation. Basically, what this is, when you take a child away from its parents, or if you take a whole generation of children away from their parents, it's slow genocide. It's just not immediate, and it doesn't look as bad. It's just, you think initially when you're seeing the children being led away, oh, they'll be taken back at some point, surely. Well, maybe not. Very likely not, but maybe they'll get lost in the system. Are they taking records? Is there good record keeping of who the parent was and who the child was, and will they be reunited at some point? Very likely no, that's not the point. The point is to separate them long term. To separate them, to create pain, and to ensure that the connection is lost. And this is also going to probably dissuade the parents from having any more children, because do they want more children separated from them? So essentially what this is it's slow, long-term genocide. It's just not immediate, and it doesn't look terrible. It's terrible on the news, but it's not as terrible as taking a child out to be shot by soldiers. Essentially, it's slow genocide. They are extinguishing Palestine, or the Palestinian people. They're pretty much extinguishing them, and it's still allowed to go on. Coming back to the beginning of this video, there's still hope. So this whole thing with the separation of the children, everything, it's terrible, right? It's absolutely terrible. It's probably a parent's worst nightmare. It's definitely my worst nightmare. But the thing is, you have to look at it this way. All this horror, all this death, all this horror, all this sickness. Everyone's so sick at the moment, right? How's your immune system? Is your immune system okay? You handling everything? Everything that comes by, you're able to just, it washes over you? The immune system. Okay, the death, the violence, the immune system onslaught. Everybody getting sick. And this is everyone all over the world, right? After COVID, not everyone's great again. I don't know many people who are back, who are as they were before, basically. I don't know many people who are as they were before. And so you have to think of it must be for a reason. I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there are suspect by now. This is not an accident. It's not an accident. Okay, so the death, the violence, the separating of children from parents, the sickness, the malaise, like your weak feeling afterwards for a really long time. You just can't shake it. What else? The stuff that's going on in our media. Anyone who grew up in the 80s and the 90s is really well aware of the caliber and the spirit and the integrity and just the power behind the movies and the songs of those times. These years, something's gone amiss. Something's gone amiss. And if you look into it in the music industry and into the film industry, things are just really going downhill. They're rehashing things they don't need to. They're going through the whole inclusion thing and making everything really boring, and like every time you watch something you go, oh, this is a political statement. Okay. It's all very political, and there's not such a feeling of robust freedom and creativity and adventure. The movies of the 80s had a spirit of adventure in them that just cannot be touched these days, even with an extremely high budget, right? Okay, so that's the media. And also, if you look at the themes in the media, the movies that we see, how often is it positive and hopeful? How often do you feel positive and hopeful for the future after walking out of the average blockbuster movie that you see? It's that way for a reason, I swear. I feel like it's almost an industry standard. The average person should not be feeling hopeful for the future after most of the movies. There's a lot of post-apocalyptic stuff, like after the end of the world or just before the end of the world. Zombies, vampires, whatever you like biohazard, whatever. A lot of hanging, there is some feel-good stuff, but it's just to fill out a genre. What I mean is, there's always the whole category of different movies and media. And of course there's comedy, and of course there's romantic comedy, etc., and stuff to make feel-good stuff. And they need to still produce movies for those arenas, but that's the only time you'll see anything positive. It's there. Where else is it? You can't see it. The general norm, the norm is hopeless future. Hopeless, a dark future. Is this for a reason? I think it is. Because, people's guards are down. When you go into a movie, it's like this is your downtime now, right? You're going to be going in there and relaxing and watching something and letting your imagination run free and run with the story. Your subconscious guard is down. And when you're watching it, it's going in. And nothing happens without reason, especially where there's money involved, right? And media means enormous money. Anything done, there's money spent on it. People, cast, production, the whole toot, getting it, licensing, everything. If there's so much money in it. And so if there's a pattern that you're seeing in a certain atmosphere or certain similar things happening in movies, it's probably stipulated. There's probably a directive somewhere or a policy being made somewhere that we're supposed to be making more of these kinds of movies. And what does this tell you? It means it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way because, just from my vantage point, just from the patterns that I'm seeing, it looks like we're supposed to lose hope. We're supposed to be down. We're supposed to give up. And there's a lot of money in this. If you look across the board, politically, in the military, in the media, you have to admit this is the world climate at the moment. I don't mean weather. I mean heart emotion, like your general base feeling. Outside of small toddlers or small babies who are just happy to be here and bouncing around, are people happy? Is the average Joe happy? They're not really. They're just getting through the day largely. But there's so much money and energy, and it's almost like there's a whole industry to put all this in place to have us feel this way. What does this tell you? It's necessary, because if they don't do it, if they don't keep us nailed down, if they don't keep us under this cage of negativity and hopelessness, we'll be out of control. And apparently, that doesn't take much. It doesn't take much for that to happen. Because people have a way of passing hope to each other. Like children pass flu to each other in the playground. I think that's a quote from somewhere. I can't remember where I read it, but I did read it somewhere. It's all necessary. All of this is all very important. What you think every day. The surveillance, the CCTV, all the algorithms, the reason why they keep your camera still operative on your computers and on your phones, the reason why they're always collecting data about everything you think and say and do. And there's a huge mountain of big data somewhere that could probably be analyzed to work out exactly the flow of human thought. It's all so very important, because if they don't do that, we're going to be out of control, out of their control. And all that money and energy and effort and expenditure and planning for years, for decades, is all extremely necessary to keep us in line. Because it doesn't take much for even a few of us to become out of line and infect the others. And they know this. It is known. And that's why this. Imagine that. Imagine having to have such a huge industry in place to control thought. Because even small thoughts, you notice, like certain people get cancelled. Certain scientists, certain politicians, certain speakers sort of die early deaths, or they committed suicide, did they? All right. They what do you call, life cancelled. I don't know how else to word it. The controlled speech, like, oh, you have to be so careful. You're not accused of hate speech by anything you say. It's all so carefully maneuvered, which shows how very, very important your thoughts are. What do you think is extremely important? I use the word extremely. I should have a much bigger word than this. What you think is astronomically important. Because what you think affects not only what you do and how you show up, it affects everyone else you come into contact with. Whether you're actually speaking to them or not, you don't even really need to speak, because people have a way of carrying their, what's the word, aura? Can I use that word? Their aura, their vibe? I carry my vibe with me. You know, people carry their vibes and their auras and their atmospheric little cloud around them, with them. And everyone picks up on it. Animals pick up on it, don't they? Animals can pick that up. What you think is so astronomically important to them, because what you decide of how you use your thoughts could change things, even just you on your own. It's amusing. I think there's fear. I think there is a fear. Their fear. They have a fear of us. We're so strapped down and controlled. Why? Because in their minds we have to be. We can't just be living life easy and free. No, we have to be nailed down and controlled and limited, running our little circles in our lives over and over and over. We have to be that way, because otherwise we'd be out of control. It would be like herding cats, trying to control a group of cats. You can't. There'd be chaos, well, for them. It's interesting. But if there's fear from that arena, if there's fear, that means we are much stronger than we think we are. A lot stronger than we think we are. So, what's the takeaway here? Your thoughts are, I don't want to say incredibly powerful, but your thoughts are incredibly important. Whether you know it or not, to other sectors out there, what you think on a day-to-day basis is extremely important. That's why they want to control what you think so much. So therefore, you don't even really need to have anything else aside from just your thoughts. And what you choose to do with your thoughts could alter everything. I think this is why imagination is so important, and why it's been sort of wrung out of our school systems. Because it's very important that children do not have strong and exercised imaginations. I can't tell you what to think. But what I do know is just the average Joe, what goes on in his head every day, his or her head, or their heads every day. Just your day-to-day stuff. It is so very important that you continue. It is so important to certain sectors that you just continue to do your day-to-day thought circle, and you don't go outside of that. That is extremely important. It's very important to them that you just stay doing that. I wonder what would happen if you didn't.